Alright guys, so what I'm going to be doing here is putting this modification on into my bench, which is going to make it very easy to put tooling into the bench without actually modifying the top of the bench. The main idea here, the main two things I want to put in are a bench vise and something to help remove handles. Now the reason I'm doing this is because normally you have a bench vise, let's say mounted on top of your bench like this, but this creates some obstruction and it's usually bolted in. So it's, it's a bit of a pain to take it out. What this modification will do is make it very easy to remove, to put the vise in and take it out of the bench. So how it works here, this is going to be welded underneath my bench. Now the reason for this here, this is 3 inches long or tall, is because I don't know if you call it a brace, but between the two legs there's a 3-inch strap of steel, so this is just to compensate for that height. Now underneath here I drilled and tapped 2 holes. These are 3/8 coarse thread. I'll probably need to put a lock nut as well on the bolts, but you can just hand tighten whatever you put in here and into this tooling arm. This is basically a tooling arm. In here you can put anything with the outside, any sort of square with an outside of 1.5 inches. I have some 1.5 inch bar, but I suppose if you had the tubing, that would also work. It would also work probably better because you'd already have the rounded edges, and you wouldn't have to radius the square tubing or the solid bar like what I have. So what I've done, I've already ground all the surfaces under my table and here. I think what I'll do now is just file out this little weld bead from the inside of the tubing. I'm filing out the weld from inside the tubing. I did the same thing with my I made a 2x72 bench grinder recently, and I did the same thing, and I ended up getting a very tight fit with the square bar I put in here. So the results are pretty nice. It's just that this takes time, and for my 2x72 grinder, I think I had I don't know, maybe 10 inches of tubing, so it ended up taking a lot of time. But I think this piece is 7 inches long. The other one I think is only 8 inches long, so it's not too bad over here. So I don't know how long I've been filing, maybe 15 minutes, but I finally got it. It's a little tight near the end here, but that's pretty good. And then this is basically how the tooling arm enters, and underneath it's just tightened with a bolt. Probably going to be a lock nut with the bolt. There's going to be 2 bolts here underneath. So now I'm just going to file out this one now. And it's a lot easier doing it with the half round on the file than the flat. Also, having a long file, I think that's a 14-inch file I'm using, otherwise it's with a 10 or 12-inch file it'd be difficult to kind of fit in here. I mean, I'm sure you could do it, it's just gonna, be painful. Or more painful. Alright, so after what feels like an eternity, I've filed it out to where it'll slide in and out fairly easily. It's still a little tight, but I guess I'll go back over it, but it's also a lot easier to grind the tooling arm than it is to file the inside. And alternatively, what some people do, and I mean some people do this and it is very logical, instead of filing the inside, which is a pain, they just get a grinder and let's say they mark where that weld seam is, and with the grinding disc they'll just take out this material to whatever height the inside of that weld is. They'll just remove a quarter inch of that material over here, and I mean that does make sense. And so I measured up the first arm. It's 6 inches from the end of the leg here, or from the closest part of the leg, and I also squared it up just because, well, I don't want to be looking at my crooked work for the rest of my life. So just making sure it's square and it seems alright. So I'm going to go ahead and weld it in here, on the back, and overhead on 2 spots on 2 sides, so that way this should never pop off. So I just gave her a tack on the opposite side of this one, all the way at the end, because this is supported by the clamp. Now I'm gonna weld it here, and then I suppose I'll go all the way around for the rest of it. So I've got the square tubing welded up underneath my table. Now what I'm gonna do is get a 1.5-inch bar and weld it to this plate. And this is just a plate I torched out a week ago or something. This fits here, my bench vise. It just comes up there, and then I'll get 3 bolts and bolt it in. There's 3 bolt holes on the vise itself, because it's a swivel vise. Right, so I'll get that thing cut, you know, ground, welded. We'll see how she goes. Now that I've got the piece cut, what I need to do is take off all the rust, because I mean that kind of adds material. It doesn't add material, but it kind of brings it up, so it's not going to fit. And also I need to radius these corners, because the corners of the tubing are radiated. Right, so I've got this arm here welded up, and the bench vise is just going to go on top of this, so I'll show you guys that right now. So this just goes right there in spot. So here's the vise. Now this will be very easy to remove if I choose to, just by releasing those bolts over there and out of the way if I have to, you know. I can adjust this very easily now, and now I can clear my bench. Yeah, I mean, I hope that gives you guys a good idea of what I was going for, at least in the beginning of the video. I got the idea for this from my from the welding school I went to last year, and ever since I saw that, I've been meaning to put this on my bench. I've been meaning to do that for over a year now. You know, it's just been around a year, so I finally did it, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped you out. If you like this video, check out the other videos on my channel. If you like the videos, feel free to subscribe.